webinar on CBT and Clinical Supervision. I've just noticed in one of the chats somebody's just put that they don't have a microphone. That's not a problem at all. What we prefer you to do during this session is actually to use the chat boxes anyway for any questions that you might have. So that would be great. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is just give you a short presentation and then open it up for questions. I know we've already had one question, so I will endeavour to answer that as we go along. Okay, so today what I want to do is really introduce you to what you can expect from studying online. Oh, my apologies, everybody. I seem to drop out then. Can you hear me okay? Super. Apologies for that. I don't know what happened. As you can see, well, you'll probably be able to tell that from the video that actually I'm doing this webinar from home, which is nice to say that, you know, we can do that, and we have that option to be able to respond to you even if wherever we are really. It does mean that actually within online learning, you won't always get a response during the day. You might get evening responses depending on where our associate academics are, because they are all around the world. Okay, so let me go on and just let you know that what we plan to do is introduce you to online learning. We're going to introduce you to the academic team, and we are also going to provide you some insight into what it's like to study online with the University of Derby Online. Like I say, if you've got any questions, if you post them into the chat box, and then we can answer them as we go along. Joining me today is also Natalie, who is from our marketing team. She will be able to answer some of the questions. We are also going to have Matt, who is an online admissions advisor. So he'll be also joining us within the chat boxes, answering any questions that you might have during the webinar. Okay, so what I've got here is a slide just to introduce you to our on-campus team. So these are the people that work within the University of Derby online offices. So we have a campus here at the University of Derby, and we have within this campus, we have the person at the top left, which is Paula Shaw. She is our academic manager. Now what she does is she oversees, and so you probably won't be seeing much of Paula within the modules, but the next picture is myself. I am the program lead for the Clinical Supervision postgraduate certificate program, but also for the BSc Honours top-up degree in cognitive behaviour therapeutic approaches, and also the undergraduate the University Advanced Diploma in cognitive behaviour studies and skills. So the next picture along is Yasu. Yasu Katera is our program lead for counselling studies, but he also teaches and can come into some of the modules that you'll be working on. And we also have Danielle Mills. She is one of our lecturers in counselling and psychotherapy. She also teaches on our CBT programs. In addition, there you've got in the middle at the bottom is Pauline Green. Pauline is a social worker by background, but also sometimes pops into our modules. And then next to her on the bottom right is Gemma, who is also one of our lecturers. Now at the bottom is also, so the bottom picture is Lucy Hutchinson. She is our academic lead for education. However, what we have is an interprofessional studies portfolio. So sometimes some contacts may be with Lucy if you are struggling with anything. Lucy can answer some questions. Now, in addition to our on-campus academic team, we also have a number of associate academics. Now, these are lecturers that work remotely for us. So these lecturers are all around the world, and the nice thing about the University of Derby Online is we don't have to rely on our lecturers being based in Derby. They can be anywhere around the world, and that means that what we can do is we can recruit the best lecturers for that, so experts in the area of whichever subject we're in, which means that we then have sort of the most up-to-date lecturers. We have lecturers that publish and specialise in the areas that interest them, but means that we can give you the most specialist teaching. And an example of this, so our module lead for the clinical supervision programme is a lady called Christine Rhodes, and she's actually based in Bermuda. She is from the UK originally, so she knows about clinical supervision from a UK perspective, but actually at the moment is living in Bermuda. So as you can see, there's a really international perspective on these programs, and it means that you can really enhance your learning from that international perspective. All right. What I should have also mentioned there is, in addition to our academic staff, we also have Matt, who's our admissions advisor, so he is probably the person that you've had contact with already. But we also have James, who is our online learning advisor. So James is there if you're struggling pastorally, need some support, if you are struggling, have some personal issues and need perhaps an extension to your work. James is the person that can support you with that. Now, in terms of what to expect from your first term studying with us at the University of Derby, what you'll have is regular communication for your tutor. Now, your tutor will access the module that you're working on 5 times a week. So that may be Monday to Friday, 9 till 5 if we're on campus staff. However, if you've got associate academics that are around the world, that may be different. That means that actually some of your tutors may access the module in the evening, which might suit you with work commitments, or it might not, but they're flexible in the times that they access and that they contact you. But what you can be assured is that they go into that module 5 times a week, and that means that they will go into the discussion boards, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about discussion boards in a second. The other thing that your tutor will do is they will have 2 to 3 live sessions per module. Now, what a live session will be is very similar to this. It's a webinar. They will be able to present you with a PowerPoint presentation. You'll be able to see them on the webcam. You'll be able to interact with them. You'll be able to put your microphone and videos on so you can see them and really get that face-to-face feeling as you do. Within those webinars, your peers will also be in there, so other people who are on the module will also be in that webinar, and so, or that Blackboard Collaborate session as we call them. So you'll also be able to interact with your peers also. Within the module, what you have is learning activities. Now, I know we've had a question so far regarding the hours of study. Now, what we have is learning activities. They're split into units, and what we would expect is it's designed so you can complete 1 unit a week for 10 weeks, and then your assignment is handed in on week 11. Now, those activities will have some written content, they'll have some things to read, they'll have some videos to watch. They'll also have discussion boards, so there'll be activities that you can complete as you go through the module. Now, the idea of those activities are that you are able to interact with your peers through the discussion boards, so you can expand your knowledge through those discussions. You can also, and the nice thing about online learning is actually within those discussion boards, it gives your tutor the opportunity to have a look at your writing style. It gives them opportunity to look at your referencing style. So I can't reinforce enough the importance of interacting with those discussion boards. They're not compulsory, you don't have to do it to pass the module, but what I would say is that if you interact with them, it gives you the opportunity opportunity to evidence where you are in your study, how you're getting on, and also gives your associate academic, your tutor in that module, the opportunity to review your writing style and check that it is at the level that it needs to be. And it also gives them the opportunity to review your referencing style. Now, going back to the question about hours, what we say is each unit should take you around 20 hours, with a total of 200 hours per the module. Now, what I need to be is really specific, because that sounds very, very daunting. When we say 20 hours, that is not 20 hours doing the activities within the module and the learning activities. That also incorporates the reading that you will do, the working on your assignment. So it may be that you're only in your module for, say, 5 or 10 hours, that in the learning activities for 5 or 10 hours that week, or it may be less. It may be that you're off reading about it and learning, which that's why it's so flexible online, because you can go on and do your learning activities at a time that suits you, but you've also got that opportunity to go off and do your reading, go and have a look and start writing your assignments. So although we talk in hours, it's very personal to you. You may do a lot less one week, you may do a lot more another week, but it's not specifically 20 hours where you need to be sitting in that module doing the learning activities. It's much more about the whole learning experience that you're doing. Okay, so although we talk in those hours, what I would say is that's very specific to you. It's about how long it takes you to read those articles, you know, and what you will do is you will be reading, you will be taking bits out and highlighting to get them to be able to use them in your assignment to help develop your knowledge. So just be very aware that although we talk in those hours, it's very flexible. You won't be within those learning activities for 20 hours. You will be doing lots of other learning activities away from the module. We've talked a little bit about the discussion board, so you can interact with your peers, and formative activities, so they are those discussion board posts. It may be that your assignment, that your module has a specific formative activity that you can use for your module leader, your tutor, to review your work, but those formative activities are usually done through the discussion board, so it's all part of that learning within the module and within that unit that week. As you can expect, there is always a summative assignment, because that is what we're assessing you on. That's the assignment that we use to decide whether you have achieved the learning outcomes and passed the module. What I would say is, like I say, use the discussion boards to get the tutor to check your writing style, to check that you have your understanding of the information and that you're developing your learning and getting that depth of learning. But also think about when you've done your summative assignment, what we do is we submit it through a tool called Turnitin. Now, it may be that you've used Turnitin before and it may be that you haven't, but it's just an electronic submission point. Again, once you submit it there, my recommendation is to check your Originality Score. That's to check whether you have any plagiarism issues, so to check that you've appropriately referenced things. There is a, when you get into Turnitin, you'll find it, but in the left-hand corner there is a little button that says Originality. You click it and it will highlight your work as to any areas that it looks like it's come from another source. I can't highlight enough how important that is, but that summative assignment is the thing that we will mark on. It's based on the learning activity, the learning outcomes within the module, so they will all be available for you to see within the assessment brief, because within the module we give you an assessment brief that clearly outlines the process of the assignment and the process of the module. Now that, because you're not in the classroom in the sense of having everyone together, that's a really comprehensive guide to help you through. Then of course you can use your discussion boards to ask questions on that assignment brief and really clarify any issues. So the other thing about these modules that you'll be on is that you'll be on with new and existing students. So the nice thing about online learning is the fact that you can approach existing students within those modules and ask them questions, so they will be able to help you. And what we have is we have a cafe forum, which is another discussion board which a tutor doesn't go in, but it gives you the opportunity to talk to your peers and ask them questions. Okay, so as we've talked about, just because you're studying online doesn't mean you're studying alone. Those discussion boards are great for having that peer interaction. We've also in the module got personal journals. They are a journal area that is personal to you, so your peers won't be able to see that, but your tutor will be able to see that. So you'll be able to communicate with your tutor through your personal journals, or your personal blogs as they're called. You'll also have the live sessions, as we've talked about, where again you can interact with both your tutor and peers on your course. The cafe forum, as I've said just previously, is an opportunity. It's another discussion board, as it were, but within that discussion board you can talk peer to peer, so your tutor won't access that and they won't put any comments in that, because that's just for you, your group, to discuss. And then if you're struggling or you want to discuss anything outside of the module, your tutor contact details are within the module, so you can email them, and if you want to, you can telephone them as well. I have to say that telephone calls would only be for on-campus staff. Our associate academics, so our distant learning staff, don't always have the opportunity to have telephone calls. Okay, so as you'll be aware, to do these programs, you need to be able to access library resources and have reading lists. So what we have within the modules, we have specific reading lists, and they're all linked. So you can go to your online reading list and they are linked to the journals. Through the library, you can get the books that are relevant. As long as they're ebooks, you can get journals that, you know, if we've got them, you can find them. We have Library Plus that searches journals for you. We have the General Library Service that you can actually specify ebooks, so you can search those books via the ebooks. And the nice thing about the library services is they offer you a real comprehensive service. So they also offer you some live sessions. Again, there's webinar style sessions to help you access and understand how to use the library if you're struggling. You can have one-to-one sessions with our subject librarian. Again, if you're struggling to use the library services, they will give you a one-to-one session to help you and go through it. Very similar to this session, so they would be able to use a PowerPoint. They would be able, the nice thing about this tool that we're working through today is that you can screen share, so they can show you how to use things. You can write on the screen as well, although all those functions have been switched off for this webinar. But that's an option that the library services can use with you. They also offer study skills sessions on live sessions again, that you can go to make sure that in terms of your study skills, you know what you're doing. So they offer a really comprehensive service. So I strongly recommend that you have a look round. So once you're on your program and you've started your modules, have a look round the library service and familiarise yourself with that, because it's a really important resource. Okay, so I've done a little bit of talking today and just given you a bit of an outline of what it's like to study online. Hopefully I've answered your question regarding the hours that you'll be interacting, but I just wondered whether anybody got any other questions. If you want to ask any questions, they will need to come through the chat box. That's great. I'm glad it's comprehensive. Oh, okay. Let me just have a look and find. When you say practical supervision, and I presume, Karen, you're looking at the supervision, the postgraduate certificate in clinical supervision. What we don't do is we don't have any specific counting of hours in terms of clinical supervision, because it's not an accredited program. But what you will need to do is, we do ask for one of the modules, we ask for some video content, and we also ask that you have some experience of clinical supervision. What I would say is, most of the modules. What I might have to do is get back to you. I'm just going to have a quick look now and see if I can find the specific module that would plug me out. I think it might be the second module. I think it might be developing supervisory practice. But let me just see if I can find it. What I might have to do, Karen, is get back to you on that one, if that's okay. Karen, if I email you out of the session and just answer that question for you, because basically though, what I would say is throughout the clinical supervision module, we would need you really to be in practice doing some work in terms of clinical supervision, so you can develop that. Okay, Annie, you've put that you're not very computer literate. Where is the support? That is a very good question, because I've missed that totally. What I would say is IT will give you support in terms of if you're having difficulties with the functioning of the program and you're having any problems, but actually that again may come through the library, so the library may support you. Once you're in the module, it's very much just clicking through and finding out where everything is. What I would also say is your academic within that module will also support you, because we are very aware that not everybody has those computer skills, and we are very aware that it can be quite difficult for some people. Actually, it's pretty much like clicking through a web page. There are links down the side that take you to where you need to be. And so it's just a matter of clicks, like clicking through a web page. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But if you're having problems with the technology, we have IT on hand for that. If you have problems with, and you just want to develop some skills around the IT, sometimes the library will do that. And like I say, your academic within the module will also do that to support you. Okay, Sharon, I've just read that you've received no communication by way of an introduction yet. That will be coming to you. I'm not sure whether Matt's with us yet, because I know he's coming into the module, but Matt, can I just ask if you can write a response to that, please? Although that's come up as Natalie, I presume that's Matt. Natalie and Matt are in the same room. Matt, do you know when the communication will be coming out in terms of introduction? Sorry. Okay, Matthew Rowley, my apologies. I was on about, I've got Matthew Salisbury. I've got Matt Salisbury in with Natalie. He is our online admissions advisor. So, yeah, he's our online admissions advisor. So, there you go. I think he's just answered for you. Okay, so Matt's going to look into that for you, Sharon, if that's all right. If anybody watching this webinar back is also having problems, if you email Matt in admissions, he will also be able to answer that question for you. Yes, I think it is. Let me just see if we've got a, I'm just going to have a look at the, I think it might be early April, but I think it is before Easter. I'm just going to see if I can find the date for you of the just bear with me. Okay, I've got the date down as the 11th of April. that may not be accurate, but it is. I would imagine that it is before Easter. I've just gone into our submission point, so I'm going to say with 90% certainty that the submission date would be the 11th of April. That's pretty much when it normally is, but I do think it is before Easter, because I think, well, Easter is the 16th. Is there any more questions? My apology, my computer's just flashed up that my connection is low quality, so if the video's gone funny or you can't hear me, my apologies. Okay, the level of the course. So, Karen, I think are you looking at the clinical supervision course? That is at level 7. So that is a postgraduate certificate. So that is at master's level. It's not a master's program because there's not enough modules for it to be a master's program, but it is at level 7, so it is at master's level. Okay, Matt, can you just double check that for me as well, please? At Salisbury, by the way. Matt, Karen, Matt at Salisbury will look into that for you. Okay, Matthew Rowley, I've just seen your question there. It says, what is the access to a tutor at Derby? Because we're online, we don't tend to actually see students in person. Like I say, because your tutor accesses the module 5 days a week, they will respond to any questions that you have within that time. So whether you write it in your personal blog or whether you write it on the discussion boards, they should be responding to you within 24 hours or one to 2 working days is what we tend to say. But under normal circumstances, if it's in the module, then we are looking at it being sort of as soon as your tutor picks up that message, they should be responding to you. So if you, on the other hand as well, if you wanted another Skype session, so if you wanted a personal tutorial, the tutor should also be able to offer you that option as well. So it would be either done through Collaborate like we're doing now, or it could be done through Skype, depending on your tutor's personal preference. Karen, in response to the question of is it likely to be accredited in the future, the answer at the moment is we're not sure. In terms of, it depends who your accrediting body is. What you can do is you can use this programme as evidence that you've done further study in clinical supervision that will get you your accreditation. So if you're with the BABCP or the BACP, you can use this as part of your evidence to apply for your clinical supervision status and your accreditation as a clinical supervisor. I can talk for the BABCP because that's my accrediting body. At the present time, the BABCP doesn't accredit any clinical supervision course unless it is attached to something like IAPT, so improving access to psychological therapies. But you can, if you just complete all your documentation and then put the certificate as evidence, then this should get you the accreditation as a supervisor, certainly for the BABCP, and probably the others, but you would have to just have a chat with your accrediting body just to double check. we are looking into it. Annie, we are looking into it. We do offer a Masters in Integrative Health and Social Care, and so we are looking into it, but at the present time we don't do it. So we are looking into whether we can bring these modules on board with that program, but at the moment it's not. But they are at level 7, so there is nothing to stop you if you're going to institutions to see if they will accept them as an accreditation of prior learning. So there's nothing to stop you considering that option. APAL they call it, or RPAL. Is there any more questions? Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, if anybody does have any further questions, you're more than welcome to let us know. The course starts on, I don't think it is the 30th, I think it might be the 30th. Let me double check that one for you too. Bear with me. Okay, let me just so you're aware, although I'm looking at you this screen, I actually do have 2 screens, so I'm able just to have a look. 30th. So all the modules start on the 30th of January. Annie, yes you do. What will happen is your module tutor will set up an introductions discussion board. That will give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, tell you where you're from, tell you about what's perhaps a little bit about their background so you know where they're coming from. It also gives you a chance to introduce yourselves. Then what your module tutor will probably do as well is they'll organise a webinar quite early on within the module, and that will help then to encourage you to interact with your group. Okay, do you have any more questions, anybody? Okay, so just to let you know, the webinar's been recorded, so if you wanted to watch it back, you are more than welcome to. In addition, if you have any further questions, feel free to email us. We've got Matt in admissions who will be happy to take your email, or if it's course related, feel free to email myself. Or if you email it to Matt, Matt will forward it to me, whichever is easy for you, whichever your port of call is. But I'd just like to thank you all for joining us, and if there's no more questions, then we will close the session. Many thank yous.